Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 1394, written by stripedmacaron, the night I defied death on Sunset Boulevard. My heart is already beating fast telling the story. Only those closest to me know that this happened until now. When I was 25 years old, I was driving home from work one night. I lived in Los Angeles at the time. I was driving on Sunset Boulevard, heading west towards my apartment in Brentwood. For those that are not familiar with the area, there is an expanse of sunset near UCLA that is very curvy. It is 2 lanes on either side with no shoulder. It was 8:30 on a Saturday night, so there was some traffic. I was driving along and all of a sudden, about 50 feet in front of me, I saw a car. But I was looking at the passenger door. A car had spun out of control and was perpendicular in my lane. I didn't have time to stop. I looked to my right and saw there was a car next to me, so I had nowhere to go. I instinctively turned my car all the way to the right anyway. Once I had cleared the first car, I spun it all the way to the left, still trying to avoid the second car. While all of this was happening, I remembered a time with my mom at Disney World when I was 3. This is not a memory I have ever had. I vaguely remember parts of that trip, but this memory was not one of them. I realized then that my life was flashing before me, and I was going to die. I had never been so sure of anything. Every part of me knew I was about to die. I started screaming. To this day, I don't know if I vocalized anything or if it was all in my head. I yelled, No, this isn't fair, I'm not done yet. All the while swerving all over Sunset Boulevard. I suddenly stopped my car and I was now perpendicular in the opposing lane of traffic. I looked around and there was not a single car anywhere. It was like everything had been wiped clean. I put my car in reverse and proceeded home. I did not see a single car the rest of the way. I was only 5 minutes away from home at that point, but Sunset Boulevard on a Saturday night was completely empty. I got to my apartment and parked on the street. I didn't see one person. While walking to my apartment, I came to the conclusion that I had died, and because I said no, I was stuck in some limbo. I had never wanted my roommate to be home so badly. Unfortunately, she wasn't. I called one of my best friends and said, I need to ask you some questions. Please just answer me and I will explain after. I asked her my name, my age, what city we lived in, and the date. Obviously, she was very alarmed. I explained that I thought I was dead and I wasn't sure I was really on the phone with her. She tried to convince me that I was alive and that everything was okay. But there was no way mathematically to escape it. There was nowhere for the car on the right to go. This moment has haunted me my whole life. There have been times when I have questioned my existence. I've wondered if my life since has been a very detailed death trip and I'm actually lying on Sunset Boulevard bleeding out. After many years of meditation, spiritual practice, and belief in quantum physics, I wonder what life I jumped into. Case notes of file 1394, the night I defied death on Sunset Boulevard. It's been a hot minute since I narrated a quantum immortality story, but to me they never get old. It signals a logical and physical way how life can persist even through the standard mortal coil that we all experience daily. So here we have the complete package. Not just seamless quantum immortality, which is more common, but the version where you're temporarily stuck in a limbo universe with no other souls, a dead copy, until full transfer is finished to your new vessel in a real universe. Most people never perceive this limbo area. The limbo area would be extremely distressing though, if perceived, especially if you don't know about glitches. You've never heard of this happening to anyone, so yeah, being stuck where there's no other humans around randomly is not normal for most people. Case file number 1395, written by Anonymous, when Josh defied time and space. We were in year 8, 12 to 13, and messing around in school on our lunch break. My friends and I decided we should play tag. Me, a few others, and Josh, the central point of this story. I am it, and I give them a 5-second head start. Josh ran into our area. Our school had separate areas for years 7 and 8s, mostly so we didn't have any excuse to be late for classes. Our section, year 8s, was on ground level. It only had one entrance and exit point on the inside. This is where things get strange. To get from the year 8 home base, you had to either use the indoor entrance or exit outside and walk maybe 3 minutes outside, up some stairs, and cross a bridge. Josh, the slowest person in our group, managed to get from the indoor entrance to the year 8 home base all the way to the indoor bridge exit of the year 7 within the 5-second countdown. There were no storage closets or stairways between the two, no lift, elevator, nothing. When I saw him, he genuinely had no clue as to how he'd gotten there so fast. Me at the time, being a stupid 13-year-old, didn't pay much attention to this until we all saw each other recently, over 6 years later, and he brought it up. He still swears on his life that he does not know what happened, and that it freaked him out for years. Question suivant, 1395. When Josh defied time and space. Teleportation events are spooky because of how flawless the transitions usually are. One plank length, you're at X coordinates, and the next plank length, you're at Y. There's no airburst, no sonic boom, no heat displacement from the air moving out of the way at such high speeds it turns into plasma. Because of course if you're teleporting in one spot there's no atmosphere at all, because you just vanished, all your mass is gone, and then in the new area, you have to move all that air out of the way. It's not a void, you're in the atmosphere. So there's nothing like that at all, which is strange, right? It's like the universe itself opens a void prior to accepting the teleportation, and it all happens so fast, no one has a perception of it. Maybe you disappear in one spot, there's a void, and then the universe takes the air that would be in the area you're going to be ported to, and this is all with like time frozen, and it just moves that air into the area where you were before, the void you created by disappearing, and it all happens instantaneously. So there's no airburst, there's no noise. A couple times, there were a couple stories where there were. So I don't know, maybe teleportations or returning items and stuff, it's not all the same thing. There's different ways it can happen. Because there's different contextual clues that tell us, yeah, sometimes there is an airburst, there is a sonic boom, because the air has to move out of the way. And sometimes, most of the time, there isn't. So I guess there's a higher level controller going on in the majority of the cases. But to me, this doesn't strike me as an ability that someone has. Case file number 1396, written by Snowy556, The Cemetary, 15 years later. When I was younger, I would have dreams from time to time when I would visit my favorite uncle, who would be building a castle. Every time I had the dreams, the castle would be more and more built, and ended up looking like a large cobblestone building. After he passed away, we went to the cemetery where he was buried, and the main building of the cemetery was the one from my dreams, same layout inside and everything. Now I had never been there before, and never had another relative buried in the cemetery. I had to use the bathroom and told my parents. They said they would help me look, but I told them I knew where it was. The bathroom was right where it was in my dream. I haven't had anything like this happen since, and this was maybe 15 years ago when I was 9 or 10. Question suivant, 1396, The Cemetery, 15 years later. I wonder when what sounds like a mausoleum, when was it constructed? Was it happening 15 years ago while you were having the dream? It's unlikely your uncle actually built it, but my guess would be you were dreaming about your uncle's final resting place being built, and your subconscious merely interpreted it as your uncle building it himself. I'm not sure why your subconscious would do that, but it seems like the most logical explanation. Now time for the quote of the day. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. Mahatma Gandhi. It takes a lot of strength to forgive, but there's only one caveat I want to include to this, is that forgiveness, there's one thing that has to precede forgiving someone. You have to know that they're willing to truly change, not just saying, I'm sorry, but look at their actions. Like they say, actions speak louder than words. Are their actions reflecting an actual desire to change? If they harmed you in some way, but they intend truly never to do it again, it was a mistake, a weakness of character, okay, you can forgive them. One time. I don't think you should forgive someone twice. I think once some people deserve a second chance if they show that they're really gonna honor that second chance, but otherwise don't. So forgiveness is a sign of strength if you do it wisely. It can be a sign of naivete if you forgive someone over and over, or forgive someone with no evidence that they're going to change. That, I would say, is not wise. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.